look to build some commercial infrastructure focused on neurologists, or is this a partnership opportunity? Again, I know that this question's get asked a lot, but now that we know what we know, what's your latest thinking? Thanks.
Sure. Happy to take the first one in terms of lack of a dose effect observed in the ASPEN program. I would characterize it in two categories. The first is the constraints of the study design, and the second is the complexity of the disease. So if we take the first one, the constraints of the study design, when we met with the FDA to request and seek approval for the design of our phase 3 program, they had required a fixed dose approach to evaluating DAXI in cervical dystonia, which is not different from other products which have been evaluated in this indication. And as a result, all of the subjects, regardless of whether or not they were treatment naive or previously treated and maintained on either a high or a low dose of a neurotoxin coming into the study, had to be treated with the same dose. So by definition, you'll have a cohort of patients that are undertreated as well as a cohort that are potentially overtreated. And the ability to recognize or achieve a dose response would be constrained by this. In addition, the complexity of the disease is such that there are anywhere from 2 to 7 to 8 muscles that are involved in any given patient who presents with cervical dystonia. In the ASPEN study, 7 different muscles were treated. So there wasn't a single unique variable in terms of the muscle chemodenervation that was evaluated in the ASPEN study. It was an aggregate of 7 different muscles. And so this could blunt any dose effect that you would see. If you truly wanted to design a study that looked at a dose response, you would need to focus on a single variable and control for all of the others. Moreover, in terms of the study design, if you look at the competitors' phase 3 studies, you won't find one that shows a dose response. They all show similar durations of effect, whether that be for Inco in the Xeomin pivotal programs for 120 to 240 units that was evaluated, or the Dysport studies, which showed no difference between a dose of 250 units and 1,000 units in terms of duration of effect. So our results in terms of dose response are consistent with this indication and neurotoxins for the treatment of cervical dystonia.
Thanks, Roman. Yeah, and so David, your question about commercialization strategy, I mean, certainly we were very encouraged by the results of this trial. I think, we were hoping that it would be consistent with what we've seen in our other programs and in our phase 2 study. And so certainly, if anything, this gives us more conviction about the opportunity in the therapeutic area. And I think, further highlights the fact that there's clearly something different going on, and it's, not directly correlated to just a dose response. So we're going to, we want to read out the plantar fasciitis. We've got the upper limb spasticity data coming in. We continue to be, sort of very sort of long-term thinking in terms of how we want to approach this market. How are we going to unlock the greatest value? And we'll take all of this into our 2021 planning cycle in terms of what additional clinical investments do we make, how do we think about our therapeutics franchise, and what do we think is the best way to unlock value for shareholders. So, there's still more work to be done on this end, but certainly this was a great, start to validating kind of the opportunity in therapeutics.
Okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question comes from Georgi Yordanov with Cowen. Your line is open.
Thank you so much for taking my question, and congratulations on the results and all the recent progress. So I guess first, I was wondering if you could talk about the current treatment paradigm and where do you see DAXI fitting in terms of your reimbursement strategy. Do you expect physicians would be able to prescribe DAXI first, or would they have to go through Botox or any other neurotoxin? And do you anticipate that the launch of a biosimilar Botox would change these reimbursement practices? And I just have a quick follow-up.
Maybe we'll start with Roman and then have Dustin hit it too.
Yeah, sure. So I would answer that DAXI, because of its unique efficacy and safety profile, would rise to the top in terms of clinicians' choice for a neurotoxin to treat cervical dystonia. The ability to use DAXI and escalate dose or titrate the dose to be specific to the clinical presentation will be very straightforward in terms of the potential for efficacy as demonstrated by ASPEN, but also reassuringly so in terms of the adverse event profile and the amount of core neurotoxin that patients are being treated with. So as with other labels, you can see that based upon their phase 3 program, they have described not only the dose that was evaluated and the recommended treating dose, but also all of the doses that were used in the phase 3 program, thereby giving clinicians the flexibility and the freedom to be able to start low, which is the mantra, and dose escalator, increase the dose based upon the patient need.